Welcome to the True Tomorrows podcast. I'm Adrian Smith, and we're diving into a future where corporate greed fuels this really scorching revenge plot.
I'm Julia Jones, and I'm excited to kind of unpack all the tech and human drama that drive this story.
Yeah,
Get ready, because this one takes us on a wild ride.
it really does. We're jumping into a story called Scorched Earth, which throws us into this world where a corporation called EarthCorp is on the hunt for neutronium.
And for anyone who's not familiar with neutronium, it's this incredibly dense theoretical material. Imagine squeezing the mass of Mount Everest into a teaspoon.
Yeah, crazy dense.
Yeah.
Super valuable.
Right.
So EarthCorp is just obsessed with getting it, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get it,
Whatever it's.
even if it means wiping out entire communities.
Which is exactly what happens to a settlement that's sitting on a neutronium gold mine.
Yeah.
EarthCorp just obliterates it, leaving behind this group of young survivors called the Sparks.
And these sparks are left with burning rage and the scraps of EarthCorp's tech.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just giving up, they turn the tables and become EarthCorp's worst nightmare.
What's fascinating to me is how they go from these grieving survivors to this incredibly effective force.
Right.
They become like digital ghosts haunting EarthCorp's every move.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how they get so good so fast.
Well, they've got some serious talent in their ranks.
Yeah.
Maya is this tech whiz who can hack into anything. Think about it. She's taking all the salvage tech and turning it against its creators.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about turning the tables. Then there's Omar, who can repurpose anything. He takes EarthCorp's weapons and turns them right back on them.
It's incredible, and their actions really highlight this duality of technology. You know,
Right.
it can be used for good or for evil.
Absolutely.
In EarthCorp's hands, it's a tool of destruction.
Yeah.
But in the hands of the Sparks, it becomes this weapon of resistance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And leading the charge is our narrator, who is the strategic mastermind behind it all. They're constantly outmaneuvering EarthCorp.
And we can't forget the fuel that drives them. The grief, the anger, the memory of everything they lost.
Yeah.
It gives them this raw, almost primal power, but it also raises a question.
Mm-hmm.
Can righteous anger stay righteous when it's mixed with this level of vengeance?
Right, because their attacks escalate.
They do.
They hit EarthCorp supply lines, data centers, even their executive retreats. They become bolder and riskier with each strike.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
The attacks are incredibly precise. The Sparks have intel that's way too good to be just scavenged tech. Someone is feeding them inside information.
Yeah, who? And that's when the narrator makes this shocking discovery.
Okay.
Turns out they're not just an orphan of EarthCorp's destruction.
Oh, wow.
They're a disinherited heir carrying the bloodline of the very family that built this ruthless corporation.
Wow. Talk about a plot twist.
Yeah.
This revelation totally changes everything. The narrator's actions take on this whole new layer of meaning. Are they seeking justice for their lost community?
Right.
Are they claiming their birthright?
Yeah.
Or is it this dangerous mix of both? It really makes you think about the nature of revenge, you know? Is it ever truly justified?
Yeah, it's a tough question. On the one hand, you can understand the Sparks' rage.
Mm-hmm.
EarthCorp just robbed them of their homes, their families, their entire lives.
Right.
So it's hard not to feel a sense of satisfaction when they start hitting back.
I get that, but the story also shows how that desire for revenge can just consume you. It can twist your sense of justice and make you do things you never thought possible.
And the narrator's a perfect example of that. Here they are orchestrating this elaborate revenge plot, using their family's own legacy against them. It's like they're caught between two worlds, the world of the corporation they were born into and the world of the Sparks they've chosen to fight for.
Yeah, it's this classic tale of nature versus nurture. Did the narrator inherit their family's ruthlessness, or is it something they developed as a result of their experiences?
It's hard to say, for sure, but it definitely makes you think about the cyclical nature of violence.
Right.
EarthCorp destroyed the Sparks community, and then the Sparks, led by someone with EarthCorp's blood in their veins, turn around and destroy EarthCorp. It's like this never-ending cycle of revenge.
And that's where the story's commentary on corporate greed comes in, I think.
Yeah.
You know, EarthCorp is so blinded by their desire for profit that they fail to see the consequences of their actions.
Right.
They create their own enemies by exploiting and oppressing others.
It's a cautionary tale for our own times, isn't it?
It really is.
We've seen time and time again how corporations can prioritize profit over people and the planet, and this story just takes that to an extreme.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, are we headed down a similar path? Are we creating the conditions for a future where corporations have way too much power and people are left to fight over the scraps?
It's a disturbing thought, but it's one we need to consider.
Yeah.
We need to be aware of the potential consequences of unchecked corporate power and make sure we're taking steps to prevent it from happening.
Absolutely. We need to hold corporations accountable for their actions and make sure they're operating in a way that benefits society as a whole, not just a select few.
So getting back to the story, the narrator's final act is a masterpiece of revenge.
Oh, yeah.
They orchestrate the destruction of EarthCorp's flagship, a vessel overflowing with fleeing executives.
Wow.
They use EarthCorp's own greed against them, luring them into a trap with the promise of even more neutronium.
It's brilliant and terrifyingly ironic. The very thing that drove EarthCorp to destroy the Sparks community, their insatiable greed, becomes their undoing.
And in the aftermath, the Sparks scatter, trying to build new lives, blissfully unaware of the puppet master behind their rebellion.
Right.
They've won their freedom, but at what cost? They've been shaped by violence, and it's unclear whether they can escape its shadow.
And that's the genius of the ending. It's open-ended.
Yeah.
Did EarthCorp burn for good? Or will it rise again, possibly even more corrupt than before? And what about the narrator? They vanish into the flames, embracing a legacy of destruction, or maybe aiming to break the cycle.
It's a question that lingers long after the story ends. It makes you think about the nature of leadership and the burden of responsibility. The narrator took on the weight of the Sparks' revenge. But can they ultimately create something better? Something that doesn't perpetuate the cycle of violence?
It's a powerful and thought-provoking ending that leaves us with more questions than answers.
And that ambiguity, that's what makes Scorched Earth so compelling.
Absolutely. It's not like a simple story of good versus evil. And It makes us confront the complexity of these characters and the choices they make.
Exactly. The Sparks aren't like these traditional heroes.
Right.
They're traumatized. They're driven by vengeance. But at the same time, you can't help but root for them as they're taking on this massive corporation.
It's like a classic Robin Hood story, but with a futuristic cyberpunk twist.
Right.
Instead of stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, they're using technology to dismantle a corrupt system.
And the narrator is such an intriguing figure, right?
Totally.
Are they a hero for leading the Sparks to victory? Or are they a villain for orchestrating such a destructive campaign?
That's a question that gets to the heart of the story's exploration of power and responsibility.
Yeah.
The narrator had the knowledge, the skills to manipulate events, but did they use that power for good or for, selfish reasons?
That's the beauty of it. It's left up to the listener.
Exactly.
To decide. There's no easy answer.
And I think that's one of the things that makes True Tomorrows so engaging. We present these stories and these ideas, but we don't force our interpretations on the audience.
Exactly. We want our listeners to think critically, to draw their own conclusions.
And Scorched Earth is like the perfect example of a story that sparks those conversations.
Absolutely.
It makes you question your assumptions about justice, revenge, and the role of technology in society.
Yeah. It's also a story that stays with you long after you've finished listening. It makes you wonder, what would you do in a similar situation?
Right.
Would you fight back against a corrupt system, even if it meant resorting to violence?
Those are tough questions, but they're questions worth asking.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great place to wrap up this episode of True Tomorrows.
It's been a pleasure as always.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Scorched Earth and the chilling possibilities of the future.
Remember to rate and follow True Tomorrows for more thought-provoking stories from the frontiers of technology and human experience.
We'll be back tomorrow with another glimpse into the world of True Tomorrows. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring the possibilities.